Good evening. You are now listening to the worldwide transmission of the GBC with the Honorable WMII.
Greetings, and welcome to our broadcast tonight. I just want to let you know that we appreciate and are privileged coming into your homes, giving you the stories that you may have missed and the stories that you may have even heard of. As always, I want to give a shout out to Preach the Word Worldwide Network. You can watch them www.ptwwntv.com, or you can watch them on your Roku television. Our program airs Sundays at 11 o'clock on the Preach the Word Worldwide Network app on Roku TV, and you can watch us around the world. Also, thankful to our folks here at Debo Studios. They've been doing a super job with us, and we appreciate them helping us during this time. Also, if you want to write us, you can write us at thehonorableWM2@gmail.com. That's thehonorableWM2@gmail.com. In addition, if you want to support us, you can support us through our Cash App at all capital letters, $THWMII. Again, that's all capital letters, $THWMII. Now, there have been a lot of news going on here in the sports world. There's a lot of news going on in the entertainment industry. Our Vice President Biden, he has chose a running mate as well. So we're going to get into some of these stories tonight and let you know what's been going on. You know, during the hustle or bustle of life, sometimes these news stories are happening so fast that you miss what's going on. So my job here, I'm going to try to do my best to inform you on what you may have missed. So, and if you've heard of it, you know, it's going to give you some more information on it as well. So just a little bit here, college football is usually huge along with high school football this time of year. But here's some information on some major sports conferences, the Big Ten and the Pac-12, those of you who are fans of those. It says two major college sport conferences whose schools include Ohio State, Penn State, and Oregon. They've called off their football seasons for the fall. Now, this time of year, that's all you see on television is college football. But that's going to be changing a lot, or the landscape's going to look totally different as some of these major conferences are calling off their football seasons due to the increasingly infectious rates that the coronavirus has been doing to the public. Also in our news here, any of you know about Pinterest? I know a lot of the ladies, watch Pinterest as well. It says Francois Boger, the former chief operating officer of Pinterest, alleged in a lawsuit that she was fired from the $21 billion company for complaining about sexist treatment. So hopefully that can be resolved as well. The social media platform TikTok tracked user data using a tactic banned by Google, the Wall Street Journal reports. Now, TikTok, sometimes I'm sitting at home and a video will just pop up on my phone about somebody doing some silly dances and stuff, and that's attributed to TikTok. TikTok is I don't get it myself, to be honest with you, but a lot of the young kids use it. But one thing about TikTok, they said that it's owned by the Chinese, and that Chinese spying has been going on, spying on our American public's data. So I know President Trump came out recently and he's wanting to ban TikTok. I think he has banned TikTok, and a lot of lawmakers, they're in agreement with the president because if you're getting our information and sending it to another country, who knows what's being done with it. So shout out to President Trump for banning that. But he said that if Microsoft or one of those companies wants to buy it, then it can continue, but only in the hands of us Americans. You know, Trump's big on America first, and that one, because you don't want to put our national security at danger at all. So I'm going to give him some credit for doing that one. I know a lot of times, you don't see the president get too much credit, but I'm going to give him some credit for doing that, for protecting our national security. Speaking of our national security, I'm going to get into this article in just a second. A lot of companies that we know of, they really are not American companies. Lots of times, a lot of companies that we grew up and loved, they've been bought out. You'll hear about people being sold out. They were sold out. And I have a story here that I'm going to get in just a second. But before I do, I was looking at TV one day and woke up and saw that there was an explosion. It was in another country. I can't remember the country offhand. It was an explosion in another country. But then I saw another day that there was an explosion in our country, in Baltimore. It says Baltimore explosion. Major blast leaves multiple people trapped, including children. And this is from The Independent. And it says a large explosion in Baltimore, Maryland has ripped through 3 homes, killed 1 person, and left others trapped. It says the Baltimore Firefighters Union tweeted the report of a major explosion with multiple people trapped, including children, just after 10 a.m. during their local time. 3 people in critical condition have been rescued by the firefighters, and search units are continuing to look for other patients. 1 person was pronounced dead at the scene. So, I know I saw a clip on the news about a fire that happened, and it was really heartbreaking here in our country that this type of thing can go on. It said Richard Yost, a spokesman for the company, told the Baltimore Sun that crews responding to the blast were working to shut off gas access in the area. Once the gas is off, we can begin safely access the situation, including inspections for our BGE equipment. I remember, and you got to be careful around that gas. I remember years ago, me and some of my guys, another business that I do, we had contract work at this restaurant, and somewhere or another, we did a hood cleaning job, and the job was done. We done it good, but the next day, one of the managers was saying that he smelled gas, and they couldn't operate the store. The store was shut down for half of that day because somebody had left the gas line up on. So when you mess on that gas, you know how explosions can happen. Thank God nothing happened from that, but you have to be careful working around gas line systems and all whatnot, because it can really cause some major damage. And it looks like that's what happened with this home here, that gas caused that big explosion in Baltimore. And it says, on Tuesday, Red Cross members will meet with the individuals whose homes have been destroyed or whose loved ones have been injured or killed in the explosion. And shout out to the Red Cross. A lot of times they don't get the credit that they deserve for some of the stuff that they do. I remember doing a hurricane when I was younger as well. The Red Cross was out there giving people donuts and orange juice. They're always in the front line of defense. So for this situation, I haven't heard from the Red Cross in a while, but the fact that they're still in existence helping people during their time of distress, I'm a good shout out for them. And they have the city housing inspectors checking on things up to 5 blocks away from there where that explosion happened to make sure that it was good. And there's a gentleman named Mr. Glover. He was impacted by this. He said, it knocked me across the bed. I came downstairs and saw all of the front of the house across the street. They were on the ground. I had a picture window downstairs. The glass is in the chair now. So, my thoughts and prayers are going with this family during this time, as it could be a very distressful and grievous situation. I just, sometimes when you see situations like that, you can't help but just want to do something for them. And if they have any type of support, I'll most definitely keep you updated on that as well. Again, I want to give a shout out to our folks at Preach the Word Worldwide Network, broadcasting our program on Roku TV Sundays at 11 p.m. And you can watch us around the world on Sundays at 11 p.m. on Preach the Word Worldwide Network. And you can access it through your Roku TV app and catch us as we inform the public on news. Now, as I stated, in this country, we have a lot of corporations and a lot of businesses. And one thing about a lot of these companies and businesses, you know, when you start making a lot of money, you have other people coming in, and next thing you know, these companies are getting bought out. But a lot of these companies that get bought out are not American companies. I have an article here from investing.com, and it states that American companies that are no longer American. And here you see Mr. Jeff Bezos, who owns Amazon. He's on the cover of this article here. And reading a little bit, it says many brilliant companies from Apple, and a lot of these companies are no longer American. They have been founded in the United States, starting out as small ventures to become international leaders in their fields. However, the world of business isn't always as straightforward as it looks. Regardless of how well-rooted a company's American history is, it doesn't mean that it will always belong to Uncle Sam. So, this is interesting. A lot of times we see these companies and we think that they're wholesome American companies, but a lot of those companies are actually owned by foreign countries. I know President Trump is big on buying American and American first. That's his mission. And just like that Tik Tok story I read, you know, you don't know if your data is being compromised or if something is going on what shouldn't be going on with your information. So, you know, I'm a fan of keeping things inside the country. And I just want to get into a list of a couple companies that you may not have known that actually are not American companies. I know I went to Detroit some years back, and there was we passed by the GM plant in Detroit, and beautiful company. GM is known for being a powerhouse American company, but you may not have known that the country that owns General Motors is not the United States any longer. They're actually now owned by China. GM is owned by China now, making those cars. A lot of those smart technologies are being put in cars, and it states that General Motors holds a distinction of being America's largest automobile manufacturer. As such, it's also one of the biggest companies of its kind in the entire world, which certainly makes it profitable and appealing. While General Motors isn't entirely owned by a Chinese company, it does rely on its partnership with Shanghai Automotive Industry Corp to keep the money rolling in. So they're bankrolling GM. And it says that both of the companies formed a joint venture in 1998. The company sells companies under General Motors. So General Motors is kind of like an entity. They're kind of like the front people, and they're using their name. And that kind of shocked me when I seen that, because General Motors is known as being a big American automobile manufacturer. And its headquarters is in Shanghai, in China, while GM has theirs in Detroit. So a lot of things aren't what they seem, folks. And that was very interesting to see that. Moving on, in a couple other of our so-called American companies that are not operating in America. A lot of you good folks who have Motorola phones. Motorola, I remember when it was one of the original phones that first came out, I believe. But at this time, they were originally located in Schaumburg, Illinois. But now Motorola's, they're owned by China as well. The Chinese have taken over. I remember I was at home, and my wife was at home, and we were sitting talking a couple months back, and I was like, we was talking about how China's running a lot of things. And I was like, well, look at your this piece item in the house. We looked at that item. It said made in China. We said, look at your clothes, and those clothes were made in China. We was like, look at this. Everything we was looking at was saying made in China. We was like, no, is anything made in America? You know, I applaud the president's America First policy. You know, we really, because when you have America First, that's when you can have more jobs in the country. You don't have to worry about too much unemployment going on. Take care of the folks here before we go and give billions off to other countries. Let's give it the same to the folks here. That's the same with the stimulus situation going on. Why hasn't there been a stimulus to the American public? So, you know, we got people hurting out here. We have people looking for the stimulus. But it hasn't happened yet. But yet we'll give millions off to other countries. It just makes no sense to me. So a lot of these guys, I think, in the Congress, they're not going to be there next term. I really think so, because to string along the American people for these months and $1,200, I heard an article that stated the $1,200, that was actually the price of a slave. We always wonder, why did they giving people $1,200? They said that actually was the price of slaves, $1,200. So America, are you still enslaved? You have to ask yourself that question. Why did they settle on $1,200? Some politicians are pushing for $2,000. We'll see. Motorola, as I stated, is owned by China as well. And Google actually said Motorola might be best known for its tech, but it was founded in 1928 before mobile phones were even a dream. After steadily growing over the years, the business found success with its flip phones and other products because it was sold to Google, who then sold it to a Chinese company, Lenovo. I remember Lenovo, that's another Chinese company, in 2014. Google didn't make anything from the sale, so they originally bought Motorola for $12.5 billion in 2012 before selling it for just $2.9 billion 2 years later. To this day, no one quite understands the move on why Google was so comfortable taking a $10 billion loss. So I'm pretty sure they know why they took that loss. But that's just another company. You know, some of these companies aren't American companies, and we're thinking we're buying American when in actuality we're not. So it's good to research this stuff. These last two I got on my list will be a great shocker, I'm pretty sure, for you. A lot of you who go to these grocery stores, you see the company Smithfield. They have a big plant in North Carolina. Smithfield, that also is not an American company. This is where you buy your meat from. What is your meat? It says Smithfield, their original headquarters were in Washington State. Smithfield, Virginia. I'm sorry. And it was purchased by the WH Group. And the country that is over Smithfield, those meats, those porks, those chickens, and all that stuff, is Hong Kong. So that's quite a distance there. It says when it comes to producing pork-based products, and I don't eat pork at all, so that's, but it's for you that do, just take heed of this. It says when it comes to producing pork-based products, Smithfield Foods reigns supreme. The country has been going since 1936, when it was created by Joseph Lutter and his son. The business grew steadily over the years to become one of the largest in the industry, with over 500 farms in America alone. They promote this good American ranch cattleman image. Back in 2013, WH Group bought Smithfield Foods for the astronomical sum of $4.72 billion. At that time, it was the most expensive acquisition made by a Chinese company in America. So while Smithfield's headquarters might be in Smithfield, Virginia, the company is actually run from Luchi in Henan Province in Hong Kong. So, I'm funny about my meat, and you should be also. I sound like Paul in the Bible. Lord, anything common and unclean have no room in it into my mouth. Lastly, on our list of companies that is not American no more, Burger King. Burger King is in Canada. That's our neighbors to the north. And that's our list of companies that is not American, folks. And we're going to take a break and get back with you on the GBC. Us here on the GBC. I'm your host, the Honorable WMII, broadcasting around the world through Preach the Word Worldwide Network. You can most definitely check us out Sundays at 11 p.m. and catch us around the world. We also have on-demand features that you can catch on your Roku TV on the Preach the Word Worldwide Network inspirational app. Want to get into our stories here as we're winding down. As you know, former Vice President Joe Biden, he has chose a running mate. Some people initially thought it was Miss Susan Rice, but it eventually came out to be Miss Kamala Harris. Now, Kamala Harris, she actually originally tried to run for president, where her and Joe Biden had some tiffing about him, some of his statements and voting, things that he's done in the past. But eventually, Mr. Biden chose Mrs. Kamala Harris as the running mate, and I have a article here from the Christian Post by Samuel Smith. It says Biden taps Kamala Harris as running mate, and they say that it's the most pro-abortion ticket in U.S. history. So here's our article here, and some people saying Mr. Biden doesn't know what's going on, because someone saying he was initially for another candidate, Miss Susan Rice, and some saying his team has caused him to pick Miss Kamala Harris. But it's an interesting article here that we have. It says presidential presumptive Democratic nominee Joe Biden selected California Senator Kamala Harris to be his 2020 running mate, making her the first black woman ever selected as a vice presidential candidate by one of the country's two major political parties. And I've been hearing some back and forth in black social media as well as non-black social media are saying, well, she's not really black. It was stated when she ran for a senator seat years ago, she got sworn in as the first Indian American woman. Now she's being called the first black American woman. So which is it? So I'm saying it's quite convenient now. They're saying that she's a first black American woman running for vice president when she initially got sworn in as the first Indian American woman. So you be the judge of that. It says pro-life activists are criticizing the move, however, with one calling Biden-Harris ticket as the most pro-abortion presidential ticket in American history. So it is very interesting here. It says, I watched as they look on the big banks, lifted up working people, and protected women and kids from abuse, Biden wrote. I was proud then, and I'm proud now to have her as my partner in this campaign. Mrs. Harris, she's 55 years old. It says that was one of Biden's fiercest critics during the 2020 Democratic presidential primary debates, criticizing the former vice president past opposition to federally mandated busing to desegregate schools. So Joe Biden is on record being one who was backing desegregating schools, but yet they're calling Trump a racist. Which is it? It seems like Biden is the bigger racist here. To desegregate schools, those George Wallace guys, those Robert Byrd guys, those are his role models growing up. Robert Byrd used to be the head of the KKK. So now Biden's coming like he's this gentle old guy, but that wasn't his voting record. You better watch these politicians, folks. And for you to say that you won't want to vote or have a racist in office, you better look at Joe Biden's record. It says that Harris has faced criticism as well. She's locked up a lot of black men into the prison system. That's why when she ran in her primary, I think she got less than 2%. So it's kind of shocking that she's being chosen for vice president when she didn't even had a good showing, which was under 2% when she tried to run for president. But you never know how these wheels turn in these Democratic circles. She said, if elected, they will immediately begin rolling back President Trump pro-life gains. Now that's just scary. Life is sacred. Life is given by God, and they're talking about rolling back pro-life gains. We got some demonic people in these seats, folks. Especially you calling you with the body of Christ. you better be careful of who you're letting and put your vote for in support of. Because one day you're going to have to answer for your support that you gave to some of these demonic people. If elected, they will immediately begin rolling back President Trump's pro-life gains, as well as long-standing policies like the Hyde Amendment. They will stack the Supreme Court with pro-abortion ideologies, setting the pro-life cause back for generations. Together, Biden and Harris constitute the most pro-abortion presidential ticket in American history. Brian Birch, president of Catholic Vote, a national faith-based advocacy organization, said in a statement that Biden's selection of Harris made it clear of his self-styled Catholic identity is something which can be cast aside whenever it is politically expedient. As you know, Joe Biden says that he's a Catholic, and we know Catholics don't believe in abortion, so if he's a true practicing Catholic, why is he on that pro-abortion stance? Mike Pence, he had something to say about Kamala Harris being put in the given that pick by Biden. He spoke at a conference. He said, as you all know, Joe Biden and the Democratic Party have been overtaken by the radical left. So given their promises of higher taxes, yeah, because Joe Biden also says he's going to increase the taxes. He's not being bashful about it. He said if he gets in, he will increase the taxes on the American public. Open borders, well, those migrants and immigrants coming in, socialized medicine, and abortion on demand. It's no surprise that he chose Senator Harris. You know, as you know, she was a prosecutor as well. President Trump also said that I was surprised that Biden picked her because she done so poorly in the primary race. That's why it kind of shocked a lot of the folks on the other side of the ticket. You know, as I told you, that Senator Harris was a prosecutor as well. It states that she rejected calls from civil rights groups to investigate deadly police shootings in LA and San Francisco following the 2014 police-involved killing of Mike Brown in Ferguson, Missouri. And there's a lot of things that she has done where black social media as well as non-black social media have really been taking her to task on. You know, it's going to be a tough battle with this presidential race. And on this Biden and Harris ticket here, far as on the other side of the fence, they're saying the Democrats are saying she has broad appeal. She was a long rising Democratic star, and you know, she fits comfortably with the mainstream. You know, she's governed before. She's worked as a you know, district attorney and all type of things. So in this season, I say vote for Jesus Christ. And when you vote for him, you'll never lose. This is the Honorable WMII signing out.
Thank you for listening to the worldwide transmission of the GBC with the Honorable WMII.